Hey folks, my name is Pravus, and welcome to Infection-Free Zone. This is an upcoming post-apocalyptic zombie base builder game, and it's actually had a demo available, a prologue, on Steam for a while now, so you might already be familiar with this game. The good news is the full release is very close on the horizon. It's coming out on April 11th. Now this game is brought to us by Jutsu Games, the same folks who created games like 911 Operator. And funnily enough, as you watch this video, you might actually see some of the same code and mechanics being used in this game that you would in 911 Operator as well. For example, the ability to generate a map based on real-life GPS data. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to play in Quebec City specifically. I can go ahead and click on this, and lo and behold, there's a map, and it's going to try to generate a play area for you based on the real-world location. So if you want to play in your hometown, you absolutely can do that, which I think is kind of ambitious and awesome. That doesn't mean all starting places are created equally. Some are better than others, some are basically unplayable, but it's a fun little challenge. Now for us, let's go ahead and play in Atlanta in the USA. This is one of the default locations. They've already pre-selected an area for us, therefore I can assume it's going to be balanced. Also, I don't know, if there's anything I've learned from things like The Walking Dead, it's that Atlanta is a good starting location for a zombie apocalypse. Now, there is a story for this game. There is something called the Mad Virus, which broke out amongst humanity, turning everyone into extremely violent, psychopathic cannibals, more like vampires than actual undead, apparently. And this is an infection that spread across the entire globe in record time. Kind of feels like one of my Plague Inc. scenarios. All attempts to rid us of the infection failed, no matter how drastic the measure. The only real solution that some people figured out is to try to create some sort of a makeshift bunker where they can hide out for as long as it takes in order for there to be a cure or for the world to restabilize. But after a couple of years of going through all of their food and water supplies, finally a signal goes out on the transmission saying, hey, the infection is on the decline, survivors can finally come out. This is a story of one group that is finally re-emerging into the world. So, let's go ahead and pause the game. This right here is our headquarters, one building where we currently are set up. There are going to be some tutorials and transmissions happening over here. Don't worry about this too much. I'll point out if anything important is happening. Basically, though, the neighborhood looks deserted. We need to look for useful resources. Specifically, I really want to find some food. Now, if I were to zoom out a lot, you can see this is, in fact, a real game location based on Atlanta, Georgia, which is pretty cool. You'll actually find real-life streets, real-life addresses and stuff. This game is trying to build everything based on what it knows from GPS data about all these cities. That's not to say that every building is actually a representative of the real thing. The game's not quite that detailed. There are going to be some abstractions and simplifications that happen, but it's a pretty darn cool idea. Now, from right here in our headquarters, I want to immediately start creating some squads. We've only got 6 more guns to go around. I've got some people here with guns as well. So not everyone is going to be armed, but I want to have 4 squads. The reason I want to do that is because I need to start exploring some of these nearby buildings. You can send squads out to each one of them individually, but it's going to take a very long time to do the exploration. If everyone travels as a group, they're going to be able to explore buildings a lot faster, carry a fair bit more, and also if I happen to run into a pocket of infected inside of a building, they can watch each other's back. So the compromise I found is create 3 or 4 squads, even if not everyone is armed with a gun, and go ahead and just start traveling as a group. So I'm going to go ahead and queue up a few orders along here. I want to make sure we explore all of these buildings, find any resources you can, and bring it back to the HQ. The other thing I want to do is start gathering up resources. Not everyone in our HQ is going to be part of a squad. We have a lot of civilians that are currently doing absolutely nothing. Let's go ahead and start gathering up some wood. I'm going to go ahead and queue this upright, for example, like that. Perfect. Now, this is where the starting location of this game is extremely important because wood is a very, very needed early game resource. If you don't have any, you're in trouble. You can imagine if you're playing in an extremely urban location, trees are going to be very sparing. So it is helpful to set up next to some sort of a park or maybe on the outskirts of a city rather than in the most urban area possible. But I mean, that could be a fun challenge for you if that's what you want to do. I mean, go for it. Anyway, if you click on this over here, you'll be able to see that we currently have 10 people assigned here. I've got more than that. I've got like another 16 people. So let's go ahead and assign, 14, as many people over here as we can, start chopping down the wood, gather all this up. I'm going to unpause the game and let people start exploring. You can see a little blue progress bar down here. If we didn't have all 4 squads, this building would take a lot longer to clear. That's one of the reasons it's just worth keeping people together if you can. Now, in each of these buildings, there's going to be some sort of a resource, probably, that you can scavenge. If I click on these guys, we should see if anyone found something. Yep, there's some crates of canned food from that person. There's some more over here. Perfect. As these guys fill up their inventory, they'll automatically run back, drop it off, and then rejoin the group based on their previous orders. If I hit the V key, we actually can take a look at a lot of the different buildings. Most of these buildings are going to be just like residential or maybe some mixed commercial, nothing really specific, nothing too useful. But you're going to find occasionally some buildings that are really useful to you, like maybe the supermarket or a restaurant is very likely to have some food, right? There are other types of buildings in the game. I've seen quite a few that are parking areas, right? So you can see that maybe there's going to be some fuel in there. I'm looking for anything else here to set a good example. There's a lot of different resources you can get. It's ranging from things like, oh, there's a weapon shop, it looks like, up here. Perfect. Uniform services facility. You might find some ammunition, some pistols, assault rifles, so on and so forth. Not to mention fuel for cars. You'll be able to find some building resources. You also can find some books, which we'll talk about research and such a little bit later. For now, let's just go ahead and let these guys scavenge. Note, by the way, the larger the building is, the longer it takes to scavenge. So sometimes you got to make some trade-offs. Now, while they're doing all of that, there are other things you'll need to consider as far as base building. If we click on the building menu down over here, we can see that we can convert some of these buildings that we explore into, let's say, warehouses or shelters. I'm going to need shelters for all of my people, so if I click on this building, we can see here that, okay, you need to stop talking for a second, thank you very much. We can see here that if I assign some workers, it'll take 64 wood, but we will be able to convert this into a shelter for all of our people. We need to keep doing that as our population grows. All right, now at this point, time has progressed enough, the sun is beginning to set. All of the civilians who are working are automatically going to retreat back to their shelters, back to the HQ, whatever it's going to be. Because it's at night that the infected will start to roam the streets. So we need to be very careful here. I'm going to say we can continue scavenging for at least a little bit longer, but pretty soon we are going to want to retreat back to the HQ and make sure it is defended. Okay, so we actually have already found some infected. They're very dangerously close. They probably will spot me if I am honest, and that means they're going to be chasing me down. We may need to hide if we can. Let's go ahead and see what they're doing. Okay, it looks to me like they are indeed coming after us. We need to be ready to go ahead and attack. Get into the building if you can. You go ahead and retreat. You don't have any good weapons, so I need you to be okay. But if you guys can get into any of these buildings and try to use that for cover while we shoot these guys, that'd be great. Actually, can you please retreat this way while we take a few shots? There we go, looking good. Come on, kill the last infected. Kill him. There we go. All right. You can use the buildings for cover, as you just saw there. Very important that you do that. Same thing is true with your HQ, any buildings you convert. You'll also eventually be able to build defenses. We're talking towers, walls, and stuff like that, which is going to help protect you from vision of the infected, but also shoot at them if you need to. Yep, there's more down over here. This is why your civilians are not working during the night. And seriously, there are going to be more and more and more infected as time goes on. We are already in some trouble here. Do I want to attack or do I hope that they pass on? I'm pretty sure they're about to spot me. So we're going to try to attack these guys, and hopefully that ends up being the right call. Go ahead and take a few shots. These are small groups to start, so there we go. We are fine. Okay. Okay, now it looks like daytime is about to break. Now, the infected cannot stand to be out in the day, and that way they really are kind of like vampires. So odds are good they're going to hold up in some housing, including, in this case, housing really close to my work zone. I've never seen that happen before. Well, that's awful. We could try to clear it out, but doing so is obviously extremely dangerous. We do not want to enter these buildings. So, yeah, no one go in here, please. So, I'm trying to build up this shelter. That is something that people have specifically asked for. The game's also recommending that we go for a tower. Also, one of these random events, we have found some smoke from a building. They recommend we go over there and maybe find some people. Yeah, I'm down for that. Let's go ahead and have these guys get over here. The more population we get, obviously, the more we need to feed, and that can become a challenge in of its own right. But I need people in order to get resources, so it's going to be worth it. Now, one complaint I do have about the game is actually going to be the camera system. I feel like sometimes I want to be a little bit more zoomed out and still isometric in my view rather than what I am right now. If I zoom out any further, it's going to start going vertical, and then if I zoom in, it kind of wants to naturally go way too far in there. That's not what I want to do. It feels kind of wrong. I want to find the exact right sweet spot. I guess this is going to have to be good enough. I also do think it's a little bit funny, by the way. I recognize the voice actor for the main guy who responds to all the transmissions. He's also the guy who's your main 911 operator. So like I said, if you played those games, there's things here you're gonna recognize. It's kind of funny. Anyway, we found some survivors. They've been in terrible conditions for the last few years. I'm going to accept them, and they are already on their way. We can explore their building as long as there's a few hours of daylight left. I'm not really worried about their survival chances. They don't need an escort. I've also apparently found a car. Where's the car? There's the car. If I send myself a squad over this direction, we can actually occupy the car, and if it has some fuel, we'll drive it back to our facility. You can use that to reach much further distances, so you really do want to find some cars. Also, you can run over the infected if you need to, so it makes for pretty good nighttime exploring. Okay, so nighttime is rapidly falling. Everyone's going to start heading home. The infected can pop out at any moment, and I'm a little concerned that they are probably going to come after me here. Let's go ahead and run to the HQ with everything I've got for a moment. We could just sit here. That is an option for us. But I want to see what these guys are doing, and if they all go away, then I don't mind doing a little bit more scavenging. This is the part of the game where you really need to be cautious. Okay, we got some big squads heading over here, for example. So do we think that they're going to be coming after us? Maybe. Yep, okay, hang on. Actually, it looks like my people decided to shoot at them, which means they are now going to start trying to crawl up the walls. Now, since everyone's here, I imagine we should be able to shoot them without too much trouble, so I'm not really worried. But that did draw in some more hordes. Yeah, this is where things start to spiral. Oh, there's so many infected coming here. Now, this is one of the challenges of playing in an urban area. I believe that there are always going to be more starting infected. So you'll draw more and more to you, and the thing is, you've got limited ammunition. So you gotta be very cautious here. You do not want to draw them after you. Right now, I'm just wasting a lot of bullets. I would much have preferred that they go wandering around anywhere else. So playing in a less urban area comes with some advantages, less infected to worry about, but also less places to scavenge. So that's one of the trade-offs you have to worry about in this game. Okay, it's almost 5 a.m., which means I think we're about to be safe. So now's the time I'm going to go ahead and grab some guys. Let's take a couple of them and say I want you to go up to... Actually, I'm going to have everyone travel together. You never know if we're going to find a horde as we get up here. So let's go ahead and explore the weapon shop right up over this direction. Need some more bullets or we're going to be in trouble. We're getting some sort of a transmission to all survivors. The infection is in decline. Seek others and rebuild. It's the IFZ. This is the infection-free zone. Please respond. It's just going to be on a loop. Yeah, I'm not expecting anything over here. We'll just go ahead and switch channel. Our signal is too weak to really be picking up this signal much more. If we were to get some long-range communications, we could build an antenna and try to actually communicate with people across the globe. At least people are a lot further away. So we need to find a library, which could give us some sort of books. The game actually was trying to send me over here. There it is. This is one of the libraries. It's going to have some books. If we want to find some scientific materials, we could go there. More transmissions. Good lord, people want to talk to me a lot. Running out of space for resources. Need to get some warehouses built up. I agree with that. All right, with that in mind, let's go ahead and build something, I guess we could say right here. Sure, it's going to have 884 storage capacity to it. It's going to take a lot of wood. This is one of the reasons that wood is an extremely important resource. I also see a neutral group of people over here. I'm not really sure why they're here. Okay, we've encountered people willing to join us. We can rob them! No, I'll go ahead and accept. That's fine. More people are just more people I can work. Now, let's see. The moon is close to Earth right now, which means that it's reflecting the sunlight. So a full moon actually means that the infected are less likely to come out. This is basically a freebie night where we can do a bit of extra scavenging. It's not perfect. There are going to be some infected still running around, so you got to be cautious. But it is, whoa, safer than usual is what I would have said. Hold on. We're in a building full of infected. Right, I need to send people to go and save these guys ASAP. This is where we start losing some people. Try waiting for some help and get people... No, don't run away. Get over here. I need everyone to get over here as quick as possible. Go ahead and start fighting, please and thank you. Kill the infected. I think I lost a couple of folks. Yeah, we got a few folks who are injured over here. You can see their HP has gone down. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you don't like to see. It does happen, though, and that's one of the reasons you always want your people to travel together and not get spread apart. Yeah, this is the risk you take, man. All right, now, if we want to improve our defenses, something we may want to consider doing is building up some towers. It's going to cost me 10 wood. That's not bad. The big issue is you'd be assigning some civilians in order to try and defend your buildings. And unless you happen to have some extra guns lying around, they're not necessarily the best at defending. Still, it's probably worth trying to build up at least a couple of towers like so. Now, I do want to get down over here and explore this library since it is a new day. Let's go ahead and learn a little bit about some research. We did find seeds in one of these buildings as well. Looks like grain, farming tools. We could start farming. Okay. So that is one more way of trying to get some food in the game if you start running out of scavenging locations. So if I were to go to farming, we could place down these fields. Oh, farming tools, that's what this is. Okay. So if I wanted to place, let's say, a field like so, we can do that. Now, I don't really like that you hold and drag in order to place a field, and then as soon as you let go, it immediately says, this is what you wanted. Not necessarily. I mostly just wanted to rotate the thing, and then I would place it, but yeah, whatever. That's not a big deal. Oh my gosh, we're getting way too many transmissions, though. I will say this is feeling like it's going to interrupt the game kind of a little bit too much. Some of it's random events, some of it's just early game stuff. I'm sure this will improve. We found a dead animal literally shred to pieces. Yeah, so here comes the next fun bit of news. It looks to me like the mad virus is not affecting only humans. It is also affecting hounds, which means there are vicious animals that are now rabid and extremely dangerous. Okay, now we have a bunch of big hordes on the way. Great. Can we maybe entice them to go to a building where I can actually get some defenses and start shooting them? Maybe. I'm going to start losing people now. Oh, God. This is where things get out of control because way too many infected all of a sudden just popped out of nowhere. And now we've got infected dogs coming in fast. Run. You do not want to be fighting those. We can try to get to our HQ and see if we can maybe survive. But I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think it's highly unlikely. These dogs are a lot faster than we are. This squad is just straight out doomed. Straight up, these guys are very dead. And here come some more. I did not get any defenses up in time, which means they're about to destroy things like my warehouses, my homes, and everything comes collapsing around us. Okay. And that is 100% the kind of thing that can happen in infection-free zone. If things get out of control, you will probably get overwhelmed. To be fair, I think we got very unlucky in that, but it's okay. Let's go ahead and try that again, and I will go ahead and play back up to the point we were before. Okay, so we have our tower built this time around. Now, the problem with the tower is you really want to have guns. If you don't, it's not that helpful, really. We don't need anyone assigned here right now. We can swap over to bows and arrows. It's obviously not a very good weapon, but at least it is free. So, it's better than nothing. And one thing I didn't do before was start building a research center. It doesn't take a lot, just a bit of wood and some metal. We should have enough. So now science here is useful for a lot of different reasons. It could increase some of your capabilities for communicating with other people. It could also let you start producing additional resources that previously you didn't have access to, including food or tools or even your own guns, right? So you can imagine that having as much research as possible can only be a good thing. Now, sometimes you're going to be in a situation where you want to build something, but you don't necessarily want to take up the entire building, certainly not right now. So, for example, I need a cookhouse. But this would be a massive building for a lot of potential workers. I don't need that. There should be a way to partially build something instead. Yeah, if I press and drag with the left mouse button, we can partially adapt it. So let's say I only want like a small portion of the building like this. Not going to take up the whole thing, but it's still useful. All right, now we're back to day 4, and this is where the Horde is starting to come in mass once again. Unfortunately, they're trying to attack my research center. That is really annoying. Let's see if we can get them to come after me instead. Perfect. Now everyone get back in here and start shooting at them, please. I was kind of hoping to see how effective these towers are. That is so many infected right now, good lord. And it's a little unsettling how these guys try to climb up the buildings, isn't it? I think so. But we got them. We're okay. It's fine. Just got to be careful. Now, I'm wondering how many resources do we have? 144 wood. Would it make sense to start putting together some basic wooden gates, palisades, and so on in order to try and corral the infected more effectively and make it so they're less likely to attack? Might be worth that, yeah. Now, I don't know what the effective strategy is here, but I'm wondering if it makes sense to, like, for example, if you build a wall from this building to this building, for example, then you can use the buildings as part of your defense, because the infected probably won't go in them unless they're trying to escape the daylight. but we've blocked, I hope, every infected down here from getting vision of me. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough, but maybe. Oh, and here comes some infected. Let's see just how effective these towers are. Not very. They do a little extra damage. It's not much, though. Said, they do distract the infected a little bit, and once, of course, they are in range of everyone else who's defending from the HQ, they're probably fine. So, yeah, that's why I place these within pistol range, just to make sure that if we get attacked here, we're going to be okay. Now, one of the things the game is going to tell me about is that I can actually deconstruct some of these buildings. So if I no longer feel like I want them, we could just get rid of it. So this building right here, for example, could be deconstructed. If we do that, we're going to get 11 wood, 32 metal, and 42 bricks. That's probably our best option once we've scavenged some of the immediate wood and stuff, or if I do find myself needing some metal, that's an option. I believe you could also deconstruct, like, cars or maybe something like that. You go to, like, a parking area and deconstruct some stuff there. I'm not positive on that point. But, I mean, we've already cleared out a lot of the trees over here. The more of a forest you've got at the beginning of the game, honestly, the better. It's a pretty big advantage. Okay, so let's review a few other things here. Looks like right now we have 2 people assigned to a research center. They are actively generating more scientific materials for me. It's going to take a few hours, but this is a way of getting some additional points that we will be able to use. I can start the research for the basic antenna, so I'm going to go ahead and do that next. I hear a lot of screaming. This maketh me think that we are about to hit a really big wave of enemies. That would be a problem.
Chief, did you hear that?
Yes, I heard that. It sounded awful. There's hundreds of them. Oh God, there are billions. Wait, no, wrong game. Get ready to defend the zone. What, did I need like 8 more towers or something? Is that a thing? Oh God. Yep, here come a whole bunch of them. Fortunately, the towers are good at getting aggro and pulling them into range of all of my pistols. This was calculated. We are, oh my gosh, there really are so freaking many of them. Holy crud. The game doesn't really tell you that you need to build walls, but I'm starting to think you need to build walls. That's one of the things that's kind of fun about this game, though, and it's one of the reasons I say be prepared to fail several times as you kind of learn what you're supposed to be doing. But it does feel like there is kind of an optimal build order, but you have to discover it, and it's going to require a bit of reading of the terrain, kind of figuring out what you're able to scavenge, how you're going to build out your base, and so on. But there are probably things you're going to need from scripted events, like, I guess, on day, what is it, 6? No, day 8. On day 8, I guess there's probably going to be a scripted attack. So you need to be ready for that. Then what's going to happen next on, I don't know, let's say day 12, etc. So the more you play the game, the more you probably have some idea how you need to prepare. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure I just saw some infected able to run around this fence. Did I mess up how you're supposed to build that? Because it didn't feel like that did its job very well. We go ahead and demolish this and try rebuilding it. I don't think there's much point in palisades if enemies are able to just escape from you and get around into your base anyway. Yeah, to me it doesn't look like there's any way to actually get this to hook up properly. Maybe if I were to set it up over here. Yeah, you gotta pay attention to this, I think. Which is a little annoying. I would prefer that it actually properly snapped up to the walls automatically. That's kind of what it seemed like it was supposed to do, but didn't quite work out that way. Now let's see, how much metal do we have? 34. So we know we are supposed to be building some sort of an antenna, correct? There it is. 20 metal allow us to communicate over much longer distances. I will place it close to the headquarters so that it is hopefully somewhat defendable. I'm going to try to build up more of these palisades. I know they don't do as much, but I do feel like the number of hordes that have come and attacked me have been greatly reduced, probably because they're just not wandering in a position where they see me immediately. Over here is where I keep getting attacked. Now, with enough wood, I probably could go ahead and try to wall this area off. And I'll bet you that's the right idea. We are finally done building up the antenna, by the way. That means we get another transmission. The antenna is now operational. Let's broadcast an invitation as a test. Yeah, okay. Sure. Push to talk. Invite. Yes. Okay. So I'm guessing that we're probably about to see our population start jumping. Anyone there? We're looking for help. How many you got? Only a couple of people, me and my close family. How survive? I mean, I guess how did you survive? We don't know. A bit of smarts? Okay. Well, you're welcome to join, but I am a little confused how you don't know how you survived. And then they give me some location. Good God, they're far away. Will you come for us? Okay. come to us, and it's early enough in the morning, oh my god, you will not make it. They're so dead. You know, they actually might make it. I mean, you got a little bit close. The infected will be coming out any second now, but you basically made it. Wow, good for you guys. Everyone get back. This is the chief operator of the safe zone. We're under attack. I repeat, we're under attack. Okay, what's your location? We can't hold them off. This is... Okay, can you hear me? Knew this was gonna happen, but now we're... Alright, well, if you would just tell me where you are... Define us forever, please, we need you. We can send help if you will just tell us where you are. We're on our own, but we're strong. Yeah, they didn't get the radio antenna. So the signal is very weak. Probably if we could boost it a bit more, we'd be able to find out more about them. Check nearby areas looking for its origin. Well, first off, they just basically told me where it is, which is great. I'm pretty sure that the way that this works, though, you noticed that we have a lot of big squares on these maps. I am pretty sure that this is the most immediate accessible stuff, right? This is kind of our range for this game. But outside of that, there are expedition areas. Now, I'm not in a position where I can do this right now, but all these extra squares around here, we can send teams to go and run expeditions in all these areas and find things. I'm not sure what kinds of things. I even think you might be able to set up, not exactly like colonies, but resource outposts. I could be wrong on that point. I might be wrong. This is just based on what I've seen from some other people. But I am pretty sure that you can actually do things with all these tiles. So they're useful, just not at this stage of the game. We're way too early in this. Oh, we spotted some more people, probably armed. They could have seen us too. I can't tell if they're friendly. Let's approach them as if they're friendly and pray that that's the case. Now, it is totally possible that people are going to be hostile in this game because people are desperate. That said, I've kind of got the numbers advantage, so I'd like to think that they're gonna be okay. Nope, they're hostile. They are hostile. They are hostile. They are hostile. Good, 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 good. Get into a building and get ready to shoot them. We have some more research points, by the way. What do we want to do with that? We can do the weather forecasts, find out a bit more about future weather and whether we're going to have days that are super duper cloudy. Medical care, yeah, a med bay could be useful. Chemistry, learn about basic chemical reactions leading to things like how to make your more ammunition, synthetic fuel, fertilizers, pistol production, not quite there yet. Tools factory, I imagine this is useful if you want to start getting some additional farms and stuff. And then, of course, we can also get farming and just boost up the crop yields. Since winter is apparently coming, I mean, by that, it's currently June, but since winter is coming, I feel like we want to go ahead and boost up our food production. Now, I do get a little bit annoyed by the fact that I have to go through here and manually assign a bunch of workers. A job was finished. I had like 15 extra workers sitting around, and they did not automatically assign themselves to some jobs, and every one of these wall segments requires a bit of micromanagement and clicking on my part. That doesn't feel especially good. So what other things can we do? Well, some buildings are probably going to be locked behind some technology, but it looks like we would be able to build out some housing for our people. Barns, I guess there's supposed to be livestock that may be available in this version of the game, maybe not. Canneries, sure. Factories to make tools and weapons. We could start upgrading to metal fences and gates or bricks, which are going to be the better version, obviously, the highest possible health from what I've got. It looks like there will eventually be fortified walls and gates. I'm going to assume that's not part of this version of the game right now, though. Same with the fortified towers, med bays, weather center, and a mast. Not sure what you're supposed to do with a mast. So realistically, I've probably unlocked most of the things that I really care about right now for this video, with the exception probably of some of the factories, but that's going to take a fair bit more science than I've currently got. Maybe we could research the tool factory. Yeah, okay, tell you what, let's go ahead and do that. I could see that being very useful. I don't have a lot of time, but I am going to send my cars to try and find this signal over here. We found a transmission. The signal is slightly stronger over here. If we search nearby buildings, we might be able to find a source. Oh, we already found them right here. Well, that's, you know, I would say that's convenient. All right, so if I hop out of the car over here, what are we going to find out about this potential signal source? I am curious. Incoming transmission. Oh, it fell years ago. Okay, so we'll get some equipment, but unfortunately no one's alive. That makes sense. You know, every day they were like, hey, we're under attack. And it's like, have you not fallen yet? It's been months. That seems like an opportunity to learn a bit about solar energy, though. Really? Solar energy? Okay. But I do think we're probably running to the end of this particular video. So I've got the gist behind a lot of this, right? The thing that we're currently waiting on is going to be mostly, you know, more research so we can unlock more materials, more buildings, more production chains. We're going to need more people in general. We're going to be struggling with resources. I am very much out of lumber, and that is kind of a huge issue. Not to mention we've got raiders running all over the place, and if we do not clear them out, who knows what kind of havoc they're going to wreak upon us at some point. Try to get the med base, try to get the factories up and running, eventually start working to getting metal towers and metal walls all over the place. I do kind of wish, though, that I could understand why we couldn't properly block off the infected, right? If you're not going to be able to do that, then you should just commit to the strategy of letting them run into your base and running into a kill box. Otherwise, you want to be able to meet them where they're currently at, and that means I want these walls to actually meet up with the building. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong there, or if that is something that could be improved in the game. Generally speaking, though, I think that the idea behind this game is kind of cool. It does take a lot of the same kinds of mechanics and code that I'm used to from some of the other games created by these developers. We've talked about that before. But it's applied in a very, very different way. I'm not going to say that this is like Project Zomboid or anything, but it's got the same kind of feel, that post-apocalyptic city building that's going on here as you try to just deal with waves and waves and waves of giant, horrible infected. And I'm betting there's going to be some sort of a long-term story and quest line involved in this game. I don't know what it's going to be, but I bet you it exists, and I'm kind of curious what it's going to be. Anyway, as I said before, this game is going to be out on April 11th. So, if this is something you guys would like to take a look at and maybe pick up for yourself, I'll go ahead and include a link in the description down below to the Steam store page. Otherwise, a very big thank you to those of you who watched this video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative and helpful in some way. Oh gosh, it's the groaning man again. Go away. Anyway, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, make sure you hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.